Welcome back to Rafting Magazine, and today we are talking about this beautiful boat right here. This is the Aire Cub. And before we get started, please make sure you like and subscribe and smash that like button so you're getting all of our updates and all of our new content. So, got to give a super huge shout out to our friends over at Aire Inflatables. This boat has been pretty awesome to try out. They let us demo the Cub all summer and through part of the springtime, and it has been a pretty exciting boat to try out. This is one of their new designs, and before we get into it, I always encourage you guys, get lots of opinions on the boats that you're thinking about buying. There's a couple other people who have done reviews on this boat, so I encourage you to check those out too. I boat some pretty specific conditions. I prefer a creek boat, and that's what I like to do. So let's go ahead and dive into the review, and we will talk a little bit more about how this handles on the water. My overall review of the Aire Cub was actually pretty positive. I haven't been an Aire fan in the past. I just haven't preferred their boats. And that's just my personal preference, for which I always get a lot of flack for. But this boat has really made me an Aire fan. It's a really cool boat for what it's designed for. Now, this is a dedicated playboat, and I like to use those kind of terms. If you haven't checked out some of our boat classification articles, then I'll drop a link down below. You guys can check those out for just a general discussion on how I classify boats and how I think it's helpful too. But this boat is a playboating machine. Super fun. I like the design. The color is amazing. It's really pretty. And Aire's new color for this year, by the way. So if you guys want to get a boat in teal, they now have those. Overall, the waterline is great. The shape of the boat is great. It looks really good. I like the gray on teal. The color scheme is really, really fun, really nice. We've thrown a lot at it. Pretty bomber boat. And all in all, I think Aire really did an awesome job putting together this raft. The design is great. I like the tubes. I like how they feel. There are some important considerations if you are a taller boater like me. But all in all, I think it's a great boat. It's super fun. Had a great time with it. I think Kaylee echoes that sentiment that it's just a fun boat. Super good to get out on the water with. So it's good to remember what this boat is designed for. It's it's not a big water, haul everything kind of boat. It's got a very specific purpose. Go out and play, have a ton of fun. And I really think it's a dedicated play boat. 10.5 feet long. It's a little small. It's and it's very narrow too, which is really cool if you're running a lot of creeks. We've taken this on a lot of really low volume stuff and been able to slip slots and move through stuff. The PVC exterior that Aire makes their boats out of is really, really great. Typically, PVC boats for me feel a little bit heavier and somewhere between urethane and Hypalon for stickiness. So, taking this boat out, Aire really did a good job on the exterior shell of the boat. Again, it does slip those slots. If you're running really creaky stuff, really manky stuff, you can get up on stuff and slide off of it. Kaylee and I have been working on this fun move where we come up to a rock and kind of smear off of it like a kayak does. Typically, I've found that you can really only do that in urethane-coated boats, but this boat does it really well. So definitely like that aspect of it. It's got a lot of flotation in it too, so it sits higher on the water. So when you are creek boating, you're not going to be pinning on those manky rocks all the time. So I've taken this on some little higher volume stuff, mostly California whitewater because of coronavirus, but Giant Gap at about 15 to 1600 CFS was pretty stout for this little boat. It was a lot of water. We have run it down some steep waterfalls on South Silver Creek, tried some really creaky Class 5 type stuff, and it all went really well. You know, a lot of flips here and there, a lot of like swims out of it. Um, Taller waterfalls, it tends to be a little bit tougher on. It can get a little bit squirrely when it hits. When you lose contact with any sort of water or the cliff face as you're going off a big drop. This boat can get a little squirrely as it flies through the air. And then it's a little different on the water when you're trying to boof. Maybe if I were to talk about some of the difficulties or challenges with this boat is boofing with it. I think that when you boof this raft, it really takes a lot of good timing. If you're not used to it, it can be kind of tough. This is a very advanced boat. If you're a beginner, you might find this boat to be very difficult to maneuver. Kayakers call it slicey when boats can dive into eddies real quick and cut through eddy lines. I think this boat qualifies for it. It feels like this boat has an edge on the side of it. You can get it way up there, but if you go beyond a certain point, the boat just instantly flips. So that's kind of how it feels on the water. Kind of some other discussions of it, especially boofing. I have been in a lot of playboats. I've been in Sotar 10-foot SL. I've been in the little Moravia boat. I forget what they call it. Little Wave. I've been in. I own a high side Mini Max. I've also been in a Star High 5 and I think RMR's boat is the Thundercloud, the 10.5 footer. All pretty comparable boats. They all are out there for playboats, but some excel in some ways and others excel in different ways. And so again, one of the difficult things is boofing this boat. You have to get the timing really early, so when you're boofing, you actually have to lay back before the drop. One of the difficulties I find with that is you lose your ability to gain that power stroke as you're driving into a wave or off a drop. You can't really get the fastest water. You have to get like the second fastest water, and then it will usually shoot out. This boat does have really, really good acceleration though. Of all of the boats I've paddled, this is the lightest weight boat commercially sold in the market right now. This boat is 61 pounds, so it can accelerate really fast. A couple paddle strokes from two good paddlers, and you're really only pulling 30 pounds of weight through the water, which, again, makes it exceptionally fast. So when you are pulling strokes and you do need to get a last-minute burst of speed, you can really do that with this boat. So the boofing is kind of counteracted with the speed. You can move around quick, you can dart through features, you can change directions really quickly. So that's all kind of factors with this boat. Another factor that I think is important to mention is that this boat doesn't have a high top speed. More weighty boats like the High 5 or the RMR tend to have more speed and consequently like more mass to punch through waves. So if you're trying to punch waves in this boat, it's not really the best at it. It will usually hit a wave and bounce off of it. Some of those more weighty boats will punch through it. Sotar's SL, conversely, will move a lot faster than this. I took it out on a day when we had both the SL and this boat to kind of compare it, and the SL was definitely moving faster than this boat. I think of all the boats out there, this boat has actually a lower top speed just because of the weight, mainly. But the tracking is good. Like, the tracking is really, really good, especially when you're R1ing. The air cell floor is really cool because it does fill with water. So it actually gives the boat a lower center of gravity than a lot of the other boats that I've tried. Many other boats feel really flippy compared to this boat. This boat feels like it has a lot of traction on the water. Feels like it sticks to the water, it sticks to waves. You can run up wave faces and slide off of them. And it's just really fun to carve back and forth. I think this is one of the better boats I've had that can do cutbacks when you're surfing a wave. So you'll just moving back and forth like this. Super fun. That being said, the rotational speed of this boat can be a little bit slower as well. It can feel a little sluggish that way, just because there's more floor and more weight lower down. So I feel like it's just kind of hugging the surface of the water and keeps that water tension. But again, going forward and backwards, it tracks really, really well. So once you set it on a course and get it going, it'll keep going that way for pretty expertly. So all of those great design features. I like that Aire didn't make the nose super pointy like they did with the classic Puma. The shape kind of harkens back to the classic Puma design with the pointy nose, but I do like the little blockier nose. I felt like the Puma, its pointy nose would deflect really quickly, and that's kind of one thing that made me not a fan of that boat in particular. I think just because that's such a popular boat, everybody kind of knows it and has either has one, knows somebody who has one, or has been in one. So those boats, this is definitely a different boat from the Puma. It's not that boat, and it's a very different design and a very different function with it. So some important considerations for the Aire Cub would be the fact that it doesn't have a lot of storage space. I mean, basically, if you see me like get down in this, I'm taking up this entire front compartment. If you're a big guy like me, I'm 6'2", about 185 pounds. This, if you need to move back and forth, it doesn't really fit. I've tried this with an R3 and an R4, and it's definitely not a good R3, R4 boat. I don't think play boats really are good for R3. You could do it if you wanted to. You need to put a strap down here and figure that out, or get some foot cups or something like that, and straddle the thwarts. That's usually the best way to do it, but that's an important consideration. Also, tied to that one is the fact that for an overnight trip, you're going to have a huge premium on space. So going lightweight and super minimalist, I mean, if you're doing a multi-day, this probably isn't the boat for you. Honestly, I really wouldn't take this on a multi-day. Maybe if I was doing like a 2-day Tuolumne trip in the summer where it was like really warm, or maybe like a daily section of the Colorado, might be kind of fun. But you just don't, you'd be hard pressed to put a lot of stuff in here. When you put a dry bag, a paddle, a thwart bag, and with my cameras, I mean, it feels like it's already like a little full. To put more in there, like a full dry bag with sleeping bags, and then another dry bag, a second dry bag with, your overnight gear, sleeping clothes, things like that, clothes for the next day, and then also a cooler, you're pretty much going to be out of space in this boat real quick unless you pile it real high. And one of the problems with that is that it's going to diminish the performance of the boat. So the whole reason you have the boat for all that performance, you end up losing that as you pile more weight on it. Just sits lower in the water, doesn't cut through stuff as easily. So that's kind of my opinion of it. Though that being said, of all of the playboats out there, I think this one probably has some of the best carrying capacity, just due to the floor, and the floor keeps a lot of stuff aloft like that. So again, not a great overnight boat. Single day, I mean, if you're doing like just single day trips, probably anywhere in the United States, especially class 3 stuff, you're going to have a huge amount of fun with this boat. Other important considerations is that the tubes are pretty small. I believe they're 17s, I want to say. And if I'm mistaken, I'll put a little edit down below in the comments. But the tubes are pretty small, and the floor sits really high in the boat. So for me, when I'm down here in the boat, I mean, I'm really squished in like this. So if you're 6'2", you're going to have a problem with that. And probably anything north of 6 feet. Kaylee is 5'4", and even she feels a little squished in it. So that's another important consideration, is that you may be a little tight for space in this boat. I had to move the thwarts out quite a bit, and with Kaylee being shorter, what we do is we kind of offset them so that she basically has one side of the boat set up for her, and I have one side of the boat set up for me. So just another thing you might want to consider. Also, Aire doesn't include thwarts when you buy the boat, so the boat price is the boat price for just the boat. No thwarts, no outfitting, nothing else set up. So if you want to grab a frame and throw it on here and row a tiny little playboat, I know people do that. People really like it. You might not need the thwarts, but then you'll have to pay for the extra thwarts if you just want to paddle boat it, which I certainly recommend. Again, space is kind of a premium in this boat. Another consideration I would give you guys is that this boat is only 2-tube boat, so the exterior only has 2 tubes on it. I would always carry a patch kit. I mean, that's just my general rule whenever I'm in a playboat. That being said, what is cool about the airboat is the durability. I have thrown this boat down a lot of stuff, drug it across a lot of things, and generally tried to beat this boat up. Paddled a lot of volcanic stuff, you know, a lot of low volume stuff. We're dragging it through granite and slides. So it's been through a lot, and it's held up really well. I haven't had to put a patch on this boat at all. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about this boat, that for a playboat, the durability is just superior. The exterior skin on this boat really does provide a lot better durability to it with having the bladders inside. So I really like that bladder system. The only other thing that I would say is just make sure you carry extra split rings with you, because sometimes with the zippers on the bladders, the split rings pop out. So just make sure you have extra split rings and a full patch kit with you. My last bit of all of our reviews is always overall price and value. Would I pay $3,000 for this boat? Yes, I would definitely pay $3,000 for this boat. It's a great boat. I mean, I think it's one of the better playboats you can get your hands on, personally. But you know, looking at the value of this boat, I mean, it is, again, a more expensive boat. So if you are looking for a more aggressive price point, you're definitely not going to find it here. This is a really high performance boat, and it's, you know, I was looking the other day, a new Jackson kayak is about $1,400 brand new without the outfitting. So with that in mind, you know, you have two people. If you're going to buy two kayaks, you're going to pay $1,400 a person. With this boat, just for the shell, you're going to pay $1,500 without any outfitting, which would be these guys. So pretty equivalent price. It's like within $100 of a real high performance like Jackson kayak. So when I really think about it, I don't think it's that much of a bad value. You know, I don't think the price point is too far off from a high performance boat that you would get anywhere else in the paddle sports world, you know, on a per person basis, of course. So I think the price point it's high, of course, but I mean, you're paying for the quality that you get with it. And also on top of that, Aire's customer service is fantastic. I mean, that's another thing to think about, is that they have great customer service. They help people out if you have problems with your boat. All of my friends who have airboats have had nothing but good things to say about it. So you get the customer service, you get the quality, you get the warranty, and you get the performance of the boat. I mean, it's a top end boat. That's really kind of what you're looking at, is that you have a high end boat. So expect to pay high end prices for it, I guess is what I'm saying. But would I pay that price? Yeah, I would definitely pay that. I mean, I boat a lot. I want to have a lot of fun when I'm on the water. So the other thing that I would say, though, is that it's not really a beginner boat. All that being said, if if it's your first raft that you're buying, I would probably discourage you from buying this as your first raft, honestly. Having a more general purpose raft would probably be better, unless, of course, you have a lot of experience. If you're, if you've been commercial raft guiding for 10 years, or you've been out paddling with a bunch of friends for a long time, maybe that'd justify it. You've been borrowing boats for a lot of years. You've been a club boater who uses the club's boats, and you finally want to buy your own boat for a long time and been paddling a lot. I just think it's more of an advanced boat. I think if you stepped into it with a more entry-level boat as your first boat, it might be better. That being said, if you are thinking of adding another boat to your quiver, you already have, say, like a 14-footer or a 13-footer you go out and paddle regularly, or a 12-footer you R2 a lot, and you move to this boat, I would definitely recommend that. Have a boat first before you buy this one. And I only say that because I don't feel like this is an entry-level boat. I feel like it's a really high-performance boat. So you may not be able to get everything you need out of it, and you might find it a little too aggressive. It'd be like being a 16-year-old and getting your license for the first time, and you get a Ferrari. That's the best way I could put it. So you wouldn't be able to enjoy it to its fullest if you weren't an experienced boater. So that's the best way I would put it. Other than that, great boat. Definitely recommend it. If you guys want to pick up a new raft, put a link down below where you can buy the Aire Cub, and definitely go check out Aire. Definitely go check out their boats. And if you are looking for any more advice, you have questions, concerns about the boat, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to know about it, make sure you drop a comment below. Always happy to talk to you guys about boats and give you my opinion and my thoughts on it. So thanks so much for checking this review out, and we will see you next time.